Hey, thanks for joining us for Three Keys to Conquering Word Problems. This is Alex Caggiatani, California Teacher of the Year and the Rappin' Mathematician. And let me start by saying that I have the honor of working with math teachers of different levels all over the country. And whenever I'm working with them, I always start our session by asking this question: what do you struggle with the most when teaching math? And the second most popular answer that teachers give is that students don't know their times tables. But the most frequent answer that teachers give when I ask them what they struggle with the most when teaching math is that students struggle with word problems. And so that's what we're really going to focus on over the next few minutes. Let me tell you about this time that I was working with a class. I was working with a fifth grade class doing a demonstration lesson, and I put this problem up right here about the chocolate factory. And I started to read it for the students. I started to say, okay, Stephanie, Corey, and Veronica each arrived at the chocolate factory at different times. Stephanie arrived. Well, I will tell you that I hadn't even gotten into that second sentence. All the students' hands shot up and they said, oh, we know how to solve this. We know how to solve this problem. I said, really? I haven't even finished reading it yet. They said, that's okay. We know how to solve this. You're going to divide. I said, what are you going to talking about? You're going to divide. How do you know that? They said, you see that word each right there? Our teacher taught us that anytime you see the word each, you're going to divide. Like if you have 10 cookies and 5 friends, how much does each friend get? Made sense to the students. But what I realized is that the first key to conquering word problems is that we've got to get students to read the entire problem. There's a great way that I love to get students to make sure they read the entire problem. And that's what I call an activity called Build It. And basically, what you do is you select a word problem, you cut it up into separate sentences or sentence fragments, and then you have students put them together in the correct order. It's really a fantastic, simple thing to do. You don't have to actually cut it up. You can write different sentence fragments on different parts of the board or however you want to approach it. But let me give you an example. I might have my students put these sentences in the correct order so that the problem can be solved. If you want to pause this video and see if you can put them in the correct order, go ahead and do that now. Basically, the students are going to look at this problem, and before they have to think about how to solve it or what mathematical operations they're going to do, they just want to put it in order so that it makes sense. So the first sentence would go here. This would be the second sentence or part of the sentence, followed by number 3 and number 4 and number 5. What putting these sentences in order, which might look something a little bit more like this, what putting these sentences in order does is it actually forces the students to read the entire problem before they just want to jump into getting a solution. The second key to conquering word problems is to get students to reread the entire problem once they find an answer. I mean, there are so many ways to actually solve a word problem, and that's not the focus of this video right here. We can get into that another time. I mean, students can make a table, they can draw a picture, they can guess and check, they can write an equation, they can look for a pattern, they can work backwards, they can make an organized list. So many different ways. But the way to getting students to reread the entire problem once they find the answer is once they find the answer, ask them this question: how do you know your answer is reasonable? Think about how powerful that question is. When a student can take their answer and explain to you how they know their answer is reasonable, they've really shown a deep understanding not only of the word problem itself, but on how they solved it and how they arrived at the answer that they did. And what's great about this question is it's self-differentiating for all of the students. A student who's operating at a lower level can give you a lower level answer, and a student who's operating at a very high mathematical level can give you a really in-depth, complex answer about how they know their answer is reasonable. And the third key to conquering word problems is that we've got to give students word problems that they're actually interested in solving. Remember the chocolate factory problem that I talked about a few minutes ago? Think about something. How many of our students actually feel a real connection to the chocolate factory? Probably not many of them. How many of them are actually interested in standing in line with Stephanie, Veronica, and Corey in order to figure out what time the chocolate what time Corey arrived at the chocolate factory? The key is that we have got to give them word problems that they are actually interested in solving. And that is exactly why I was a co author along with Alan Satomer on Hip Hop Math Conquering Word Problems. The time has come to give students standards based, scenario based, interest based word problems that students actually want to solve. Please feel free to check out the free lesson plans and resources at www.streetsmartpress.com. You can also check out the companion text to Hip Hop Math, Hip Hop Language Arts, thematic textual analysis, and we would love to hear more about your thoughts on these books. This is Alex Caggiatani, California Teacher of the Year and the Rapid Mathematician with 3 keys to conquering word problems. Thanks so much and happy teaching.